Let's look ahead now as the glamorous world of V8 Supercar racing unfolds over a 13-round championship. Now, we didn't know that until just a short time ago, and there are 12 rounds to go, of course. Scaife leads the series by 112 points from Murphy. Garth Tander is 160 behind Scaife. Steve Riches is 192 behind. Craig Lowndes 208. But consider this, Scaife's teammate Jason Bright is 312 points behind. The next round at Phillip Island is worth 200. Bit of catching up to do there. We'll start with Mark Larkham, and amazingly, Larko, we have an even more serious pre-qualifying situation than we had at Mallala.
Well, I mean, the drama or the saga continues, and this problem is not going to go away in a hurry because, as Cromley alluded to earlier, I mean, the sport through all the right reasons has grown, but we've got this problem. And if I can I'll quickly read you, for 6 spots on the grid, we've got Cameron McConville, Rodney Forbes, Thomas Mazira, Paul Radisich, Brad Jones, Dougal McDougall, Paul Morris, Cameron McLean, Paul Wheel, John Faulkner, Greg Ritter, Anthony Tratt and Matthew White. Now, there's going to be some good guys miss out there, and that's, I don't know in our sport that's very commercialised and driven by sponsors if that's necessarily a good thing. I don't have the answer. I think we need to work on a bit of a solution maybe that's a combination that perhaps protects guys that have performed in the past to some degree. Pre-qualifying to me was never about Paul Radisich having to go to Phillip Island and pre-qualify. I mean, to me that's a nonsense. But there's some work to do, but that's a serious issue. Serious issue.
Some big names miss out there. Your thoughts, Russell?
No, absolutely. Totally agree with Mark. I mean, it's a bit of a problem. I mean, even when you look at the likes of Paul Wheel, when you say he really deserves to be in there because he's been in the championship for so long and he's done every round of every year that he's been in the sport. So there's no reason why he should.
But you've either got to assess perhaps the entire field on that day and then just run a line through, or you've got to come up with some other safety net that protects the value of the franchises for the business owners, but also protects the commercial investment for sponsors.
And Cromley, don't you think maybe a mechanism where the top 25 drivers from the previous year and or a team are automatically eliminated for pre-qualifying the next year, because we do this on a week-to-week basis, and that's what causes the pain. So by performing in a given year, you protect yourself for the
drivers, though, is it?
See, that's one of one or either doesn't matter.
That's that was one of the issues that led to the Mallala problem. It's not the drivers, and if drivers change teams, i.e., or all of a sudden they carry no value on the way.
Well, driver and or team, Cromley, doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, that might add up to 30 people in total, but by performing in the previous year, you've protected yourself.
I'd like to see something.
But you've got a mixity. I mean, how many cars are we going to have at Phillip Island? Because certainly at a big, fast circuit like that, we could run more cars there.
No, but Scaife, no, it's not about the track.
This is the pit lane, Scaife.
The 32 came about because of the pit lane safety dramas we went through last year, and that was a sensible move because we can only cop that, and even 32's can.
And there's a stink, and I can tell you there's a stink on in the background at the moment about all that, because at the moment there's the suggestion that we're going to have to run off one boom across three cars, and as you all know from a tactical viewpoint, when the opportunity arises sometimes to take your stop, you need to be able to take it there and then. If all of a sudden in the pecking order of your team, like if Richo's in front of you in the championship, which he is at the moment, he'd get to use your boom before you would.
No, but we had that problem. We had that problem on the Sunday where Richo was actually in the pit. Larry was in there as well, and I came through and the guy said, "Hey, Richo's in here because he had track position, so he has priority," which is the right thing to do. So I actually had to slow down to about 15, 20 kilometres an hour to give him enough time to get out of our pit bay to go in.
The thing, I don't know, maybe I'm being totally looking at the wrong end of it here, but doesn't the sport, the TV, the public want to see the best drivers and the best cars in the field at any one time?
Absolutely.
Or am I being totally...
No, of course they do.
Well, then I think that should be something that we're not looking at. That's obviously something that's not being looked at, because by making cars that shouldn't be pre-qualify, we're not doing that.
The problem is, Murphy, in this day and age, I think, of litigation and everyone, as soon as you even mention the word that, oh, look, Paul Radisich has done a great job, really he should be in there, well, then, the next guy down the list says, hang on, well, I reckon I should be in as well.
Tony Longhurst, we're talking here about basically having your own support category with the same type of cars. Why not include the Konica guys in that? And
I reckon that'd be great. I reckon the Konica series should run under our umbrella, and unfortunately, one of our support categories dropped out, and have a whole V8 weekend. Everything's set up.
They have a Saturday race. Well, Saturday race, Sunday
this
race.
is the point that I've been getting to. I think everybody agrees, we all agree, everybody, that the whole V8 thing is fantastic, and the more the merrier. So maybe what we've got to do is develop more tiers of it so that there's some Saturday or some more V8 racing cascading through the Sunday. And then if you're unfortunate enough, for whatever reason, competitive or point score reasons or whatever, that you get spilt, at least it's not a dead loss weekend. Let's say, for example, Radisich doesn't make it at Phillip Island. Well, you don't want that thing packed up in the truck.
No.
Shell don't want to see it packed up in the truck. Yeah. You know, so...
You've got a very nasty streak, Taylor.
Let's go to the Gold Coast because it's not only a great place to go, but also we are now full-on championship round, equal billing with the Kart World Series. Personally, I can't wait. I don't know how the fans feel, but I think this is going to be one of the biggest weekends for a long time. And I can't think of a reason to disagree with that, but maybe there is a good one. Can you guys think
how
of
good is it going to be? Because usually, unfortunately, with the IndyCar races in the past, they haven't been around the championship, so you probably get a handful of guys that have a go. I mean, there's probably Scafie, myself, probably Radisich has a decent go there, and the others, especially this year with the New Zealand round, a lot of people didn't want to
have a go. We all want to have a go.
Yeah, but you didn't want to damage cars to take New Zealand.
You can't afford to. I mean, you've got a championship to try and win, and, you know, 2 weeks after Indy, which is always a carnage fest, you've got to stick them at being... What?
Is that what you're going to say?
I was a bit worried about what you're going to say then.
But on that subject,
credit, you know, so we don't, some of you don't take it seriously, and certainly we didn't take it seriously last year because we wanted to make sure that the cars were right.
On that subject, Murph, if it is generating a lot of carnage when there are a bunch of guys who aren't going full on, what about when the whole field is going full tilt? Is it going to present problems in that respect?
You can't afford not to take it seriously now because it is part of the championship.
I think teams are going to have to be geared with spare cars to go to New Zealand. That's the reality of it. But on the event, I mean, full credit to, I guess, Avesco and IMG, Jeff Jones, everyone to negotiate a deal that has got us equal billing on an IndyCar weekend, and those guys are prepared to move off the pit lane for us. It's just sensational. Think about the potential for Russell Suntan. I mean, up there on the Gold Coast, 4 days of racing. I mean, it's fantastic.
Seriously, we could have, Bill, we could have, as the guys are saying, we could have the Konica cars where we are now.
That's correct.
And run those cars in our pit area where we are right now. We could run our event from the standard, you know, IndyCar pit area.
The reason the Konica series is the way it is the promoters have gone to Avesco there, and they're looking to do they want other events other than the 13 or 14 events that we do in a year. They're trying to feed their own, nurture their own circuits.
But they couldn't go wrong by being on the card with us.
No.
I mean, it's great for their sponsors, and I mean, imagine them all their sponsors turning up and seeing the potential that they've got to get into the big game at the top.
Before we wrap this entire thing up, what's ahead on your home of motorsport? And there is plenty. The V8 Supercars of... Thank you very much to our studio audience. You've been wonderful. And thank you once again to our esteemed panel, Greg Murphy, Neil Crompton, Russell Ingall, Mark Scaife, Mark Larkin and Tony Longhurst. We hope you'll enjoy the rest of the motorsport season on your home of motorsport, but in the meantime, it's goodbye.